Welcome back. So in the last video, we broke out the direct materials variance and figured out of this whole 8850 unfavorable variance, how much of it was because we paid something different than what we expected and how much was because we used a different quantity than what we expected. Now we are going to do the exact same thing, not the exact, almost exact same thing with labor. So we have an overall labor variance of $3,050. Now, likely this isn't going to show up on our radar, right? This is probably going to be within our acceptable range. It's not that much money when you think about, how much we're making and how much we're paying. But let's assume this does show up on our radar, right? Maybe we're a new manager and we're like looking into everything, or, maybe labor's just always been a problem. So we're really like riding those guys hard, or, I don't know, maybe, who knows? But we're going to look at it. All right. So our direct labor variance, so remember our direct materials was split into price and quantity. Very similar concept with labor, but we're going to call it a rate variance. And the rate variance means that we paid our workers on average something other than our standard of $16 an hour. Our actual says we paid an average of $16.50 an hour, so we know for sure we're going to have a rate variance. And then our efficiency variance is how many hours we used, right? Our standard says we should be using $2 per unit, or 2 hours. 2 hours per unit. So if we have an efficiency variance, it's going to be because we used more or less hours. Let's keep going. A rate variance is our actual hours times the actual rate minus the actual hours times the standard rate. So we're leaving hours alone, the number of hours, and we're just looking at differences in rate. So our actual hours times our actual rate tells us up here we used 15,700 hours times $16.50 an hour. And so our actual was $259,050. We see that up here. All right, and then we're going to look at our actual hours times our standard rate. So we actually used 15,700 hours times our standard rate was 16. Bad formula. Good formula. So our standard was 251,200. Okay. So that means take the number on the left, subtract the number on the right. That means we have a rate variance of 7,850. And because the number on the left is bigger, that is unfavorable. Okay. So with this, we might go talk to the production manager. We might talk to the HR manager. What could have happened here to make us pay a higher rate? Maybe there was a holiday and we had to pay overtime. Maybe everybody got a raise. Okay, that we should already know that, but gosh, if we didn't already know that, that would be a good thing to know, and that would be something that either the production manager or the HR manager could tell us. Maybe we used more experienced workers. Okay, maybe because of some sort of union contract, we have to give more hours to our more experienced workers, and more of them wanted to take the full-time schedules. Doesn't have to be a union contract. Maybe that's just the way we schedule. But for whatever reason, we paid $7,850 more to make those 8,000 units in direct labor than we thought we would, based on just the rate. Okay. So now we're going to go over to our efficiency variance, and that's actual hours times standard rate minus standard hours times standard rate. So now we're going to keep the rate constant, and we're going to look at the change in hours. So actual hours times standard rate, our actual hours were 15,700 times our standard rate of $16 an hour, which is 251,200. Our standard hours is going to be the 8,000 units we actually made times $2 an hour, or 2 hours times $16 an hour, or $256,000. So our standard said that to make 8,000 units, it should have cost $256,000. So take the left, subtract the right, and we get a negative 4,800, or that's going to be 4,800 favorable. Okay. We would probably just actually write this as 4800 favorable, but you know, if you want to use your formulas and leave it like that and have the negative and say favorable, I'm not going to be too worried about that. All right. So favorable. Woohoo, this is our first favorable. This means we did something right. So now we go to the production manager because we're still going to ask, right? Because we want to understand, is this something that we can accomplish every period? Or was this some sort of weird one-off? And we go talk to the production manager and say, hey, how come we're using less than 2 hours per unit? And they tell us maybe it's because we are using more experienced workers. So the rate went up, but the efficiency is better. So we might say, hey, that's a good enough trade-off. We might not. We might say, hey, don't worry about that. Try to stick closer to the standards. It may be that we use less hours because, maybe we started doing pizza Fridays and morale was up and people were just working harder, more efficiently. They were just happier, right? In general, happier workers are going to be better workers. I don't know. Maybe the people just have a spring in their step because the days are longer, right? Maybe this is July and we're just happier because the days are longer and they're getting more sunlight. I don't know. We'll figure it out. And again, even though it's favorable, we still want to ask because if this is something that is repeatable and we can eventually change our standard to less than 2 hours, then that would be pretty cool because then we can either make more money, more of a profit, more of a contribution margin, or we could sell our product for less. Okay. And that's a win-win all the way around. Let's just do the same thing like we did last time and check to make sure. So we had a rate variance of unfavorable 7850. And we had an efficiency variable of 4800 favorable. And when I add those together, I get 3050 unfavorable, which is exactly what I was expecting. Okay. We're not going to break out the overhead on this sheet. We're going to go to the next 2 sheets in the next video because the overhead gets a little more complicated and we need more information than what I've provided here. Okay, so I will see you then.